ready. This is going to be exciting.
And they got a restart zone to go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to race number 14 of the SAVE22.vet Premier Truck Series here with Goat Locker Racing. Tonight's race takes us to the Sunshine State Homestead Miami Speedway for this penultimate race of the season. Last week saw Mark Whitley punch his ticket to the championship 4 with a win, but for 5 other playoff drivers, this race represents one more shot to race your way in for a championship next week. Who will be the other 3 drivers to join Mark Whitley in their quest for a championship? Stick with us here on V-Speed tonight, and we will bring you all the action, and we will find out who will be joining him for that chance for a title. Thank you for tuning in with us. My name is Daniel Cunningham. Alongside me in the booth, Logan Threlkeld, Tim Jones running the production truck and cameras, courtesy of the legendary Dougie Beard. Logan, we're getting down to the final portion of the season. How are you feeling about this race here tonight at Homestead?
Feeling fantastic, Daniel. Homestead always puts on a great show here in the Goat Locker community, no matter what series we're racing in. It could be any of them. But here we are tonight, Friday night, and although we are in the Sunshine State, it is going to be a night race, so that makes it all the more interesting.
Is definitely going to make it more interesting here. You know, we talked about the points, this being the final race to set that championship for. While these drivers are out there qualifying, let's take a look at our points. Mark Whitley, you see up there, locked in by way of that win last week. Patrick Drabick, only 5 points above the cut line, but we're going to touch on that here in just a moment. Levi McCarty, Jake Ellingson currently holding down those last 3 spots along with Patrick Drabick. But see Jeremy Gardner 1 point below that cut line. He is not able to make it this evening. So that really gives Ellingson a 10-point gap over Jamie Mullins and 15 points over Craig Bontrager. So with the field size we have here this evening, it is mathematically possible for Mullins and Bontrager to race their way in on points. But essentially they're facing a must-win here tonight, Logan.
Yeah, even Michael Kostick there in the same category, a must-win for him. But it's going to just keep things really, a lot of these drivers are going to focus on just finishing the race will be the main goal here, especially if you're Ellingson on that cut line. And now that you know that you have a 10-point buffer, you can breathe a little sigh of relief.
It definitely makes things a little bit easier for you heading into the night. Gives you that little bit of a cushion, but still that line can move depending on if there is a winner below the cut line. And while they are finishing up their qualifying runs, let's take a quick moment to look at tonight's race details as well. Going to have 100 laps on the board here this evening, 50-mile-an-hour pit road speed, 4 sets of tires available, 1 on the truck, 3 in the pits, 2 green-white checker attempts, and a fuel run between 50 to 55 laps here this evening. But you see it up there on the top left-hand ticker. These drivers have finished their qualifying runs, and it is time to hand out our pole award here this evening. The Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award is going to none other than one of the drivers that basically has to win their way in, and that is going to be Jamie Mullins. And since forming in 2013, JAM has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They've been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. And starting alongside Jamie Mullins this evening in that number 2 spot is going to be Levi McCarty in the 24 truck. Rolling off on the second row here this evening, Mark Whitley, he's already locked in, but he's got the boss man Patrick Drabick to his outside starting in 4th. Starting in the 5th position is going to be Jake Ellingson with teammate Jamie Barkis starting to his outside in 6th. Rolling off in P7, a little bit of work to do for Craig Bontrager to race his way into the championship 4, as well as Daniel Parks starting there in that 8th position. Rounding out the top 10 is going to be Charles Abert in 9th and Stephen McDonald in 10th.
In row number 6, it's the 36 of George Jewell lined up next to the 99 of Brandon Bubba Wallace. In 13th, Michael Seymour takes the 37 machine next to the 33 of Tyler Justice. And last but not least, the 64 of Matt Knights will round out our 15-car field. And that eliminates the statement I made earlier about Michael Kostick. He is not in the race, so essentially has taken himself out of the championship 4.
Yeah, indeed, you are correct. That will end Michael Kostick's hopes at a championship here this evening, but still plenty of other drivers trying to race their way in. And if there is a winner below that cut line, like we've talked about, the points battle between our top 3 outside of Mark Whitley is pretty tight between those drivers. So could throw a wrinkle into everybody's plans here this evening, depending on if we do have that new winner. But as you can see, they are rolling off the grid, and we are just 1 lap away from racing here, Logan.
Homestead is one of my favorite racetracks on the service. It is love or hate with this place, but I would have to lean towards I love it. A lot of success here on this track. I know a thing or two about that high line that is available. It can be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. We'll find out tonight with our 15 drivers who will be friends with the wall.
And you know, an extra little wrinkle here this evening, iRacing just did an update to these trucks, changing some of the aero and handling characteristics. Heard from a couple drivers pre-race, they're a little bit slower than before, a little bit more draggy. So going to be interesting to see how these drivers navigate that this first league race after the big iRacing update. But it's time to put all of that aside. The only thing that matters right now is the action out on track. The lights are off on the iRacing pace truck. They are coming to the restart zone. Barney's got the green flag in the air, and we are racing here at Homestead.
Levi McCarty gets a fantastic jump on the outside line. Able to get the nose ahead, way ahead of the 66 of Mullins, but down into turn 1. Mullins is going to charge right back and get about even. Oh my goodness, 3 wide off of turn 2 on lap 1 already.
Yeah, these drivers are not wasting any time trying to gain whatever spots they can here early on. Jamie Mullins, not the start that he was looking for. He is back to the number 3 position here on lap number 1. Patrick Drabick now taking a look to the inside, trying to get around for that number 3 spot. But as they run right now, all your playoff drivers have worked their way up to the front of this field. The top 5 there, all playoff drivers right now, trying to race their way in.
See right there behind Mullins, he's got the 15 of Jamie Barkis. Moving up and down the racetrack, used the top line through 1 and 2, came down to the bottom line here in 3 and 4. He's going to get a really good drive off of the bottom of 4. Gets about even at the stripe, but will have the advantage of the inside line, diving back down into turn 1.
Yeah, and actually, let me correct myself. Jamie Barkis there in the 15, not a playoff driver, but other than that, our 6 drivers that are still in it are occupying 6 of those top 7 positions right now. Jamie Mullins on the wrong end of that. He has dropped now back to that number 7 position. maybe just trying to save a little bit of tire here, trying to be patient with it. But up front, Mark Whitley, he says, I've got nothing to lose. I'm just going to try to carry some momentum into this finale. He is looking to the inside of Levi McCarty for the race lead. McCarty up there in the, normally we call it the Larson line, but you're talking about how much you like that high groove. Maybe we need to call it the Logan line here this evening. McCarty rather, making it work here early on.
Wouldn't be offended by that by any means at all. The 24 holding it down up at the top of the track. 77 of Mark Whitley came up nearly into the door out of turn 2. And the 24 is going to get a better drive off of turn 4, back across the stripe, in control of the race.
Oh, contact!
Fastest lap early.
There was definite contact there between the 07 of Drabick and the 77 of Whitley. They are both able to keep it pointed in the right direction as we take a look on board here with the 07 of Drabick. But just a little bit hot into the turn, and I think that Patrick was under the impression that maybe Mark Whitley was going to run just a little bit higher lane there through 1 and 2. But contact definitely made, and now the door is open for Jamie Barkis to try to get around Drabick for that number 3 spot.
The look to the inside. The 07 starts to come down on entry, has to modify the lane mid-corner, works his way back up to the top of the track and succeeds with a better run off of turn number 2. Gets well clear of the 15 of Barkis, but still under attack. Not safe just yet. Keep an eye on that 49 of Craig Bontrager, who has the 27 of Ellingson right in tow.
Yeah, and Bontrager, one of those drivers in that must-win situation, 15 points below the cutoff line coming into this race. So even though he's running pretty solid P5 right now, that does nothing for him in the grand scheme of things, trying to race for a championship. And you can see he's getting aggressive here, just about shoving Barkis down the back straightaway. He had a massive run off of turn number 2, takes it to the inside. But Jamie Barkis running that upper groove. We'll see if he can carry the momentum. Looked like maybe just a little bobble out of the 15 on corner exit, but for now, still able to hold on to that position.
27 of Ellingson moves up the track out of the corner and falls in line behind the 15. Gets a good run down the front stretch, but can't do anything with it before the next corner. He's still going to be right behind that battle for 4th place, as Bontrager will slot in now behind Barkis. Both of them coming down to the bottom of the track for 3 and 4, as McCarty still sticks to the high line. Mark Whitley has control.
Yeah, now McCarty under attack from Patrick Drabick. He's been looking to the inside. And, Logan, you talked about that high groove and running that upper lane and how well you can make it work. But it always seems like, at least from my experience here, that higher groove is definitely a little bit harder on the tires. And if you stay committed to that bottom lane, it can pay dividends over the course of the run. Now, granted, I have not run at Homestead since they've done some of these tire updates and different track updates. From your experience, is that still the case here?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with that one, Daniel. The high groove will always shred the tires more and more. It's surprising to see some of these drivers really committing to that high line early on in the race. I would prefer to see about 20 to 25 laps on the bottom groove. Otherwise, you're going to be very limited on what you can do at the end of the fuel run. Once that rear end of the truck starts to get light with the older tires, it will be very hard to control. Jacob Ellingson now looking to the inside of the 49. Bontrager side by side as they come across the stripe.
Yeah, Ellingson, one of those drivers that is committed to that bottom groove right now. And that always seemed to be my experience here also, was that if you get up and run that high groove early, you're kind of committing yourself to this is the only option that you have. Whereas if you stick to that bottom, you can then move up to kind of set up passes, make some runs, and you can kind of migrate back and forth as needed. But you can see here, Levi McCarty, he's looking to the inside of the 77 of Whitley, trying to take that lead back as, Drabick and Barkis both into the wall right behind him. Doesn't look like it caused any issues or caused any damage to those trucks. Still able to continue on. But this is a little bit of role reversal here out of our top 2 trucks. We had pretty much seen Whitley sticking to that bottom groove, not really migrating up the track, and McCarty running that Logan line up there. And now they're kind of playing a little bit of opposites, but No sooner than I say that, they're back to their original spots.
Still behind is the battle between Ellingson and Bontrager, still side by side with Bontrager on the top line. Ellingson got the nose ahead through 3 and 4, but misses the drive off of turn 4. Bontrager puts about 3 truck lengths on him down the front stretch. It's getting spicy up here in the top 5. They're starting to get away from the rest of the field. We've got about a second difference between Ellingson running P6 and Jamie Mullins, who started on the pole back to P7.
Yeah, and Mullins now starting to come under attack just a little bit from the 33 of Tyler Justice, just back behind this battle. And, you know, you mentioned it, Mullins has slid back just a little bit here since starting in that number 1 position. It seemed like he was working a lot on the long run speed, though, during practice. So, again, maybe just saving a little bit of tire here, just trying to keep a little bit in reserve with a smaller field, and even with the larger fields that we've seen this season. This series definitely has a tendency to go green, and that long run pace could pay dividends. And also worth noting on that 66 truck of Jamie Mullins, carrying the league sponsor SAVE22.vet on the hood. We want to make sure that we give them a shout out as the title sponsor of the series. SAVE22 is a 501c3 organization dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. Their unwavering mission extends to 4 critical pillars: shield, assist, volunteer, and educate, as SAVE22.vet, and we appreciate everything they do, not only here with Goat Locker, but with that veteran and active duty community as well.
You know, we talk about the long run pace, and one of the best at it is a driver not in the field. Of course, Jeremy Gardner not here today, but always tends to play in that strategy where he's happy to fall back a little bit, run a clean race, and really focus on that long run speed. I wouldn't be surprised if the 66 of Mullins took notes over the course of the season and is trying to play to that same effect.
Yeah, and that is a very good point, especially with them being teammates and Jeremy not being here. I would have to think that you know, he passed some tips along to his teammate for how to do that here this evening at Homestead to save that tire. And also taking a look there at Jamie Barkis in the number 4 position, I just got to give a shout out on something real quick. That is one of the better looking paint schemes that I have seen this season. Running the Navy colors. You got that Army-Navy football game tomorrow. You know he's going to be keeping an eye on that. We obviously know where his rooting interest is on that, but man, that is a good looking truck out there on track this evening.
Yeah, it certainly caught my eye in the practice session. Happy to see the fresh paint scheme out here today. A great place to debut it. Unfortunately, under the lights, so you don't quite get the same effect, but I would say next time we see this truck underneath the sunshine, we'll really be able to see that thing shine.
Yeah, absolutely. And just taking a look here, you see Levi McCarty still running in that 2nd position, but back behind them, this battle for 3rd is starting to turn into a 4-truck battle. We've seen Ellingson and Bontrager kind of glued to each other. Even with them running right in each other's tire tracks, they have started to catch Drabick and Barkis here for those next 2 positions. So good battle brewing up front here, and Ellingson still putting quite a bit of pressure on Bontrager. I mean, just glued to the tailgate of that truck. And got to think maybe Jake Ellingson's mindset here is, you know, with talking about that points battle, he's got a big enough gap that as long as there's no new winner, he just really needs to keep his nose clean and bring it home in one piece tonight.
27 has the focus on just finishing this race with such a short field. The points advantage is in his favor. As you can see, the 66 of Mullins now starting to make a charge back up to them, closing that gap from what was a full second behind Ellingson, now just 0.2 of a second behind this battle.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, looking at the lap times last time around, Jamie Mullins was actually the fastest truck on the racetrack. So I think you may have been onto something there, Logan, talking about with Jeremy Gardner, his teammate, being so good with the long run speed. I think maybe some of that tire saving wisdom passed along to the 66s. They thought about 3 wide for a second there. There was almost contact, excuse me, between Ellingson and Bontrager. They were able to come out the other side of it clean though. But you can see Bontrager lost all of his momentum, allowed Mullins to get by, and now Mullins taking a look to the inside of Ellingson, trying to crack back into the top 5 here.
So a little bit of a pushing too early situation for the 49. See the 27 starting to fall off pace a little bit quicker as well. Jamie Mullins still slightly faster last time around, 8/1000ths of a second quicker than the 27 machine. So making up all that ground that was lost from the start of the race, I would have to say that strategy will play out perfectly for the 66 of Mullins if they are able to continue on the strategy.
Yeah, I believe that is going to play out in his favor. You can see there just ahead of them, Vargas and Drabick starting to move up the racetrack a little bit, utilize those higher lanes. I mean, we're about halfway through, not quite halfway through the fuel run based on the numbers that some of the drivers were giving us earlier in the race. And you even mentioned this is about the time during the run that you would really expect to see people start to move up and test that higher groove for the first time.
And this is the perfect kind of right at the midpoint of the run. Lap 23, of course, we're expecting anywhere from 50 to 55 laps on the fuel. It's right now on board off the back of Jamie Vargas. Looked like Ellingson was getting a good run through 3 and 4. Vargas will take it to the top line of 1 and 2. Ellingson nearly side by side. Will actually get the nose ahead just momentarily, but the 15 will get a better run using that top line. Ellingson will slot in right behind, right between the 15 and the 66.
And now this pack's starting to accordion up just a little bit here. Drabick still at the head of this pack, but you can see back the end of it, Tyler Justice now looking to the inside of Craig Bontrager for position. That is for the 7th place here. And, you know, it almost seems like with this pack, it's going to be a matter of you might just have to go where they're not. You know, you hear that a lot with real life racing. You just got to go where they ain't sometimes and try something. If everybody's staying glued right to that white line, running that bottom, may be worth going up there and taking a shot for a couple of laps. See if you can make that high groove work and maybe get some track position around these drivers.
One thing, too, to keep in mind, you can still set very fast lap times if you have a drafting partner and utilize that opposite lane of the rest of the group. So we saw where the 33 and the 66 were working together earlier to rejoin this battle up at the front. And now they've gotten separated, but if you see those two get together again as everybody is either transitioning from the bottom to the top or working from the top back down to the bottom, if those two connect once more, I think it'll be a good solid run up to the front and try to battle with Levi McCarty and Mark Whitley for the race lead.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially with the updates that they made to the truck, the aero handling updates that they made this week. We touched a little bit on that pre-race, and it just seems like there's more drag in the trucks now with the extra rear end skew that they added. The back end of the truck is yawed out just a little bit, so that draft coming into play even more. But I'll tell you, one battle that is starting to heat back up is this battle for the lead. Saw Mark Whitley pulling a little bit of a block down to the bottom of the track on the straightaway. This battle was starting to heat back up, and Levi going back up to that top groove in that number 24 is starting to gain just a little bit of time on Mark Whitley here. So Whitley has stretched it back out now by about a 10th or so from where they were at. But Levi McCarty is definitely, to me, he's been the one that has made the best use of that high lane and done it for the longest, really, out of anyone here this evening. We've seen some other drivers go up there, but not really able to stay up there for any length of time without burning the tires up. And he's found something up there that's really working for him.
And I like what the 77 of Whitley is doing. He's not committing to one lane or another. He seems to be, bouncing back and forth from either the top or the bottom. Right now, the last 2 laps, he's been wrapping the bottom through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But you can use that top line every once in a while. You don't want to get the tires too overheated, so you transition back down to the bottom of the track and bring that heat down on the rubber. You can move all around wherever you want to put that truck at, it will go.
Yeah, and that's a really good point also, is that, you can, the best thing sometimes is just keep them guessing. Don't always mirror drive. Go out there, run your line, do what you want to do as far as what lane you want to run. But every now and then, just give them a little bit different look. Just try that upper groove, maybe get a little bit of dirty air on the front of them, see how it works out for you. But back at this little pack of trucks that we were watching previously, this battle for position still going here. Ellingson finally able to clear around Jamie Barkis. And Jamie Mullins was taking a look inside just a moment ago. Didn't quite have the momentum that he needed, but does have his teammate there, Tyler Justice, behind. This has been about the closest that Mullins has been through corner exit. See if he's able to complete the pass. Not quite this time. Trying to see if maybe, yep, Tyler Justice is going to drop down, try to give him just a little bit of a shove down into the turn, maybe try to give a little bump draft. But Mark is doing a really nice job on that upper groove, carrying momentum and playing defense on this one.
Back up at the front, Levi McCarty gets a great run off of turn 4. He's going to dive it down to the inside for turn 1, gets the nose ahead, gets fully clear of the 77. He has an opportunity to move up the track. There he goes, a little bit of a slide as he exits turn number 2. That's going to allow the 77 to get right back to him and challenge to the inside here for 3 and 4. Backs it off into the corner just a little bit as McCarty sends it up on the top line again. The 77 gets the nose ahead, but the run from the top will prevail. Levi McCarty back in control of the race lead.
Yeah, and a really impressive move there by McCarty to be able to make that pass, make it stick, and also fend off the crossover in 3 and 4. So put the 24 back to the top of the pylon. Does not need to win tonight. He is one of those that is in that points position that he can just kind of go out there and have a solid night. But it's always a nice bonus anytime you can get a win, especially if you can use it to carry just a little bit of momentum into that season finale. Try to go ahead and take that championship here in the SAVE22 Truck Series. Back in that previous battle we were talking about, Jake Ellingson right on the tailgate now of Patrick Drabick. You can see there that Mullins and Justice were able to get around Jamie Barkis and put him at the back of this pack. So Mullins now back up into the top 5, doing a nice job recovering from that earlier track position that he lost. Tyler Justice right behind in tow. And it seems like Mullins has got the speed right now. He's just trying to be patient. You can see he closes right in on the back bumper of Jake Ellingson over in 3 and 4. And one nice thing about it is now he's got that teammate behind him. He doesn't really, I'm not going to say he doesn't have to worry about Tyler Justice racing him, because obviously Tyler wants to go out there and win this race also. But it's always nice when you got that teammate that understands, hey, you're in the playoffs, I'm not. Maybe give you a little bit of extra room.
Justice made it to the playoffs, unfortunately eliminated in that first round of 16, or 12 rather. Thinking of a different series there in my head, but still here to compete as we are going to be nearly 3 wide coming down the front stretch. The 33 couldn't quite get the run, but the 07 does. Keeps it ahead of the 66 as Jake Ellingson has now taken up that 3rd spot on the podium with the Lincoln Tech truck.
Yeah, and Ellingson starting to put just a little bit of a gap here with that side-by-side for the number 4 position between Drabick and Mullins. Mullins not quite able to clear around. Again, it looks like he's got the speed. He's definitely done a great job of saving tire, being patient throughout the course of this run, and it's paying dividends here for him at the end of it. What I'm going to be curious to see is, we're only roughly 10, 13 laps or so away from seeing green flag pit stops. If you're Jamie Mullins, you know that your advantage right now is on the long run. So do you try to undercut, gain a little bit of track position, knowing that you have a little bit of long run speed that you can give up? Or do you say, hey, I'm already faster than them on that long run. Maybe I stay out just a couple laps longer to also have a tire advantage to go with it.
It's so hard to say at the end of the race. I would have to lean towards a little bit of a longer run here in the first half. and try to have that advantage at the very end. You know you have the ability to save the tire up until this point, and where you're seeing everybody else start to fall off, it could really play to a heavy advantage in your favor. On the other side of that, we are talking about being 3.5 seconds behind our race leader. So you have to do something different to put yourself in a position to really compete for that race lead. It's a strategy call that it's really hard to say which one would be better.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you because I know usually whenever I'm out there racing, long run speed is more of my forte. I don't have that short run speed, and I typically tend to do that. I tend to stay out a lap or two longer than the people I'm racing around just to kind of magnify that advantage with a little bit fresher tires as well. So I would lean towards what you're saying, and I think that would be my strategy call with it as well. Um, and taking a look out there, talking about strategy, taking a look in the YouTube chat, see Brantley Roden Harpoon Design saying we're all really close on fuel, 52-ish laps. So right in the middle of that 50 to 55 laps that we mentioned in the pre-race. So it may not give these drivers a ton of options on how long you can stay out. They may have to almost split it dead even in half. And then also, I kind of had to laugh a little bit here, looking a little bit further back in the YouTube chat when I mentioned that Army Navy game. I see Go Navy beat Army from Skyman. I see JB Libke Go Army beat Navy, and then Lucas Lyons had to throw in Go Refs. So, exactly what we would expect out of Lucas.
I think that that pretty well sums it up for Lucas. It's pretty well to a T. As we take a look a little bit further back in the pack, the 7 of Charles Abert stuck in the middle of the 36. George Jewell running P9. Abert P10. Stephen McDonald in the 68 machine holding down the 11th spot, but making up ground on Abert for that top 10. He's got a little bit of movement up towards the front as Tyler Justice and Jamie Mullins side by side here coming down the front stretch. They were they switched spots there for just a moment through the middle of 3 and 4. Justice on the bottom line got the nose ahead. Again, we've talked about it all race long so far. The top line, you just get such a more powerful run down the straightaway. It's really hard to compete with. You have to get completely clear mid-corner and use that slide technique to get up in front and block that charge.
Yeah, it's definitely the most efficient way to try to block that off here. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've never personally, I don't know. I know you said this track's either a love hate, you're the love side of it. I'm kind of on the other side of it whenever I'm racing out there. And I think it's just because of the way you have to make those passes, the way you have to defend just doesn't quite fit the way I normally drive out there. But one thing about it, it definitely puts on a good show to watch, whether it's real life, whether it's iRacing. This track is just, it's always one of the best ones as far as just watching these drivers try to set up passes, the different ways that you can run the track, and also just the tire fall off. I mean, we're looking at the lap times right now. We're about 1.7 seconds on tire fall off. So it just puts so much of it back into the driver's hands and gives you options on different ways that you can attack the race.
If I recall correctly, last season, our race winner, David Duke, here at Homestead, but the podium was rounded out with, I believe, Patrick Drabick and Jeremy Gardner. So we've got 2 drivers who have had podium finishes here in the previous season that are not on the track. So the favor falls in the direction of the 07, just having that experience. Currently running that P4 spot is Drabick. And you have to think that the idea of changing up your strategy has to be at the forefront of your mind as you near closer to these pit stop cycles.
Yeah, and especially if you're somebody like Mark Whitley, I mean, you don't really have anything to lose by going out there and trying something different. You're already locked into the next race. I mean, why not throw a Hail Mary and see if you can pull another win on the season? It would at least be worth the shot to go ahead and try something. And then even if you're Jake Ellingson, I really like where he's at right now in that 3rd position. He does have almost a second and a half to the next closest drivers on track. So he's got that cushion that he could just kind of react to what the trucks behind him do. He doesn't have to He doesn't have to worry about being overcut by them or undercut rather. And if he wants to try to run it just a little bit longer than those two ahead of him to see if maybe he can get up there and chase them down, he does have that option to him as well. So even though he's kind of in a no man's land there on track, it's really not a bad place to be as far as the strategy options that it gives you.
And we've talked about just Ellingson needs to complete a safe race. This is about as safe as you can do it. Although you might not have enough speed to catch up to the leaders, you're still in a great spot here. A podium finish is nothing to scoff at, and you have to be very happy if you are Lincoln Tech, being right on the hood of that truck. Speaking of Lincoln Tech, let's give them a shout out here. Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to our students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They're one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses. They are the title sponsor of the Lincoln Tech IndyCar Series and a very large partner of Goat Locker Racing as a whole. Put your potential to work with Lincoln Tech.
Ellingson definitely doing those Lincoln Tech colors proud so far. Should be seeing those green flag pit stops firing off any time now. And Logan, you've talked about this track, how much you enjoy it. If there's one part of it that I would have to guess that maybe you're not a big fan of, it might be pit entry here. This is a tricky pit road to get onto. As you can see, Jamie Barkus actually going to be the first one to kick off those green flag stops. But just how difficult is it trying to get onto pit road at this track?
It is very, very tough. You come out of the turn 4, roughly 135, 130 miles an hour, and the pit road entry just appears out of nowhere. And it's very, very hard to make that move down to the apron as you're on the brakes trying to slow up to pit road speed. So it can be very, very tricky. Luckily, we've had a couple drivers that have navigated it successfully so far. Obviously, we saw Jamie Barkus take the first one. Then we've had the 49 of Craig Bontrager join. Now Charles Abert. We're starting to get more calls from drivers still on the track about to make their way down.
And Patrick Drabick, Jake Ellingson, they are both on pit road. And actually our two leaders there, you can see McCarty and Whitley, they are also on pit lane. So that is going to put Jamie Mullins and Tyler Justice in the top two positions yet to come down pit lane. Would expect them here in the next lap or so to go ahead and make their
Oh, you
top.
missed it.
He did. He overshot the pit box. That is the other tricky part of getting into pit road here. Not even just making pit road speed, but you come off the track, the tires are hot, they're worn, the pit lane is slick, and it is so easy to overshoot your pit box. That is going to allow Mark Whitley to get back around for the race lead. But as we've seen all evening, Levi McCarty more than capable of getting up there and taking that lead back away. As they currently run on track, your top 5, Justice, Wallace, Mullins, Seymour, and Parks, they have yet to hit pit lane, although I believe Jamie Mullins actually just came down for his service.
Michael Seymour over the race comms just called it out. He is now entered pit lane. I don't dislike coming out behind the 77 of Whitley for McCarty. We saw him able to utilize the draft and get around and put about a second of difference between himself in the first and second position. So it's I would say this will likely fall still in favor of the 24 in the long run, but you have to keep your eye on the mirror as Jake Ellingson has started to pick up the steam, and he's really putting a challenge to our race leaders now, as he is only 0.8 of a second behind Levi McCarty. This is the closest he's been since we got this field separated.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. This is definitely the closest that he has been to be able to get up there and put that pressure on. And really, at the end of that last run, he had some of the best long run speed that we've seen so far. I mean, once he got clear of that battle that we saw between 4 or 5 different cars there, he really just kind of pulled away from the rest of them. So really patient night, doing a nice job of just biding his time. just kind of riding there for a while, saving some tire. And I think even Jake would say, by his own admission, that's not always his strongest suit. You know, we know Jake to be aggressive out there on track. He's not afraid to make moves, but showing that he can do it both ways here tonight, being patient and saving some tire.
And again, just to reiterate, the 27 with a 10-point advantage over the cut line here. The 66 of Jamie Mullins running in P6, so he doesn't have to be overly aggressive. So we'll get a quick look there at what we're looking at for our remaining playoff drivers in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So again, the 27 just has to focus on finishing this race. And, you know, a race win would certainly help in the momentum category, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And really, the two best friends that he has, in addition to the drivers that have dropped out that haven't been able to make tonight's race, is the fact that both of the drivers ahead of him are also playoff drivers that are on the plus side of the cut line. So it really, as long as it's not a Mullins or a Bontrager win, Ellingson's pretty well locked in. But if one of them gets up there and takes that lead away, it's pretty much going to make it to where he's got to get up there and pass McCarty or somebody to try to make something happen at that point. Because McCarty is ahead of him. Drabick is 5 points ahead in the standings, just one spot rather behind on track. So that would not be able to cut that gap to him either. So best friend that he's got is just another one of those ahead of him winning, if not him himself.
You can see on the top of your screen there, 74 degrees ambient air temperature here in Miami Homestead. 78 degrees on the track surface, so a very, very cool track surface for maximum grip on these trucks. As we take a look back up at the front, Levi McCarty attacking Mark Whitley once again, nearly got to the left rear on entry of turn 3. He'll have to back it off just a touch, but starting to test the waters as to what kind of move he can perform here to get around and back to the race lead. He's going to hold on to the top side for 1 and 2. Try to get that run out of turn 2 down the backstretch. Utilize that draft off the 77. Whitley holds it high, does not try to break the draft. There's a little bit of contact with the wall for the 77 on corner entry of turn 3.
Yeah, got to think maybe looking at the mirrors just a little bit, trying to anticipate which lane Levi McCarty was going to utilize there. He did go back to the top groove, gets a really nice run. He's going to look to the inside here in turns 1 and 2. We'll see if he can complete this pass. Whitley not giving a ton of room, not down there pinching him quite, but definitely not giving any more room than he needs to. A little loose on exit for the 24. Gonna have to slot back in behind in that second position for now. And it definitely seems like Whitley is keeping just a little bit more attention behind him than maybe he did earlier on in the race. Trying to keep that clean air, trying to keep the track position over Levi McCarty. But even with these two battling the way they have, they're still pulling away just a little bit from Jake Ellingston in that third position. So maybe Jake just riding along back there saying, hey, you know what? These guys are up there racing hard, racing each other. Maybe I'll just let them go after it and just save a little bit here. Let's take a look a little bit further back. Jamie Mullins now back into the top 5, utilizing that little bit of a longer run that he did there. Did have a 3-lap tire advantage over Jamie Barkis, able to get around for the 5th position, but as they run, still just over 7 seconds behind the race leader.
So quite a drive ahead of Mullins if they want to see the championship 4. Patrick Drabick, Jacob Ellingson, Levi McCarty, Mark Whitley, all drivers that are hard to pass. It's not going to be easy for Jamie Mullins, but will not count out that 66 by any means. Long run pace has been there. Patrick Drabick now working around the lap traffic of the 71. Daniel Parks being scored 1 lap down. Michael Seymour in the 13th position, just up the road ahead of our leaders. Exiting turn number 2 as Mark Whitley and Levi McCarty are hot on his trail.
Yeah, just taking a look at the lap times this last time around. Talked about that tire advantage and the long run speed that Jamie Mullins has had. Not quite showing up just yet. You can see the lap times there on our scoring pylon. Ran a 34:17 last time around. The leader's still in that 34:0 range. So maybe still just kind of pedaling it a little bit here, seeing what you can save. Did actually run a little bit faster that last time around, though. So still does potentially have the pace to get up there and try to make some moves before this race is over.
I like this for the 27. He's running very comparable lap times, not off the pace by any means. Split the difference even between McCarty and Whitley's last lap times. So he's staying right there with them, not making up ground, not losing ground, but as the battle continues for those two ahead, he will inch closer lap by lap. Keep a note here, 1.1 seconds behind here on lap 64. Let's revisit that in about 10 to 15 laps and see where Ellingson sits then.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he is able to cut that gap down at all. But Logan, what do you say while these drivers are just kind of cruising around, logging some laps right now? Let's say we give a shout out to another one of our great league sponsors that we have here at Goat Locker, and that's going to be Cruisin' Classics. Located in Columbus, Ohio, Cruisin' Classics has a beautiful 56,000 square foot showroom filled with hundreds of unique automobiles. There's something for everybody out of their hand-picked selection of muscle cars and hot rods. Let's come on down to the facility today and check out their website at cruisingclassicsinc.com.
Beautiful move there from the 33 of Tyler Justice, able to get around the 15 of Jamie Parkas. So Justice will now be looking to make up ground, catch back up to teammate Jamie Mullins, try to help push that 66 up the road. The lap count getting shorter and shorter. It's got to be now or never for the pair of the 66 and the 33.
Yeah, it's basically go time now. When you're 7 seconds back like this, 35 laps to go is a big wiggle there out of the 15 of Jamie Barkas. He's going to lose a spot here to Craig Bontrager, but it's a nice job hanging on to that truck on the exit of turn number 2 there. But yeah, when you've got the gap that Mullins and Justice have, just over 30 laps to go here, if you've got anything in reserve, now is definitely the time to use it. There's really no kind of hang back at this point. Otherwise, the only hope that he would have at this point would be for a caution to come out and just kind of bunch everybody back up together.
I would say about lap 70 to 73, Mullins would really need to focus on running that high line, getting that speed off of corner exit. That would be the best move, in my opinion, if you really want to start making up any sort of ground and trying to make it into the championship 4. Mark Whitley, Levi McCarty separated now by 0.3, almost 0.4 of a second. McCarty starting to lose a little bit of ground, but running nearly identical lap times last time by. 34.407 for Whitley, 34.406 for Levi McCarty.
Yeah, you know, from what we saw in that first run, this was about the point of the run where it seemed like Mark Whitley was going to be able to just pull away from Levi McCarty. Once we hit about that 15 to 20 lap mark, Whitley started to stretch the gap just a little bit, and then it seemed like just almost out of nowhere, Levi McCarty was able to just start reeling him back in within the next 5 to 10 laps or so after that, and able to take that lead back. So going to be curious to see, did Mark Whitley learn something maybe to be able to be a little bit faster at the end of the run to hold off McCarty? Was he maybe not going 100% and just trying to learn, you know, how is McCarty running this track to battle him a little bit better later on? But you're already starting to see it just a little bit there. McCarty closed down that front straightaway. It just seems like for him to be able to get up there and mount a challenge to the 77, he's really got to be able to utilize that high line, get that Logan line going up there and be able to carry that momentum. Just as we say that, he's right on board here for just a moment. He is actually working his way back up to that top group to see if he can find some speed up there.
You can see just inches away from the wall through the corner, nearly next to no visibility in the driver's seat of that wall. So really going off of
he gets into the wall there.
He feels it. contact with the wall through 1 and 2. That'll slow down the 24. But here's a thing I'm thinking about, Daniel. Levi McCarty was attacking a whole lot earlier in this run than last time for the race lead. So you have to worry, those attempted passes on the 77, did it maybe chew up the tires a little bit too much? You can only spend so much time really trying to take away position from a driver until you have to forfeit that battle and start focusing on saving your tires again. It's starting to look like it was a little bit too early for the 24 to attempt those moves, but we still have about a quarter of this race left to go. A big move down the backstretch behind that. Who was that?
I could not tell who that was, but that was indeed a big move down the back straightaway. May have been, actually, I'm not going to lie, Logan, I have no clue who that was, but I caught that too. I was trying to figure that out myself there.
Taking a look back here on my side, see if I can figure it out. That was very aggressive from the top to the bottom. That was the 71 of Daniel Parks getting out of the way of Patrick Drabick, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe it either was the 71 of Parks or possibly the 15 of Jamie Barkis. He actually came down pit road, took fresh tires. You see him there in 14th, 2 laps down as they run. So, we talked about the tire fall off, and even if you're a lap down, if you get those fresher tires, you will absolutely look like Superman compared to those on the lead lap that have not come down pit road.
And we're about to see it right now as Jamie Barkis works around the 24 of Levi McCarty, trying to get himself back up ahead of the 77, scored 1 lap down. Then he will have to still pass the 71 of Daniel Parks to take over that lucky dog position. So a lot of luck will have to fall in favor of Jamie Barkis if he wants to see the lead lap again before the end of this race. But there it is, just closing the gap so quickly on those fresh tires. For comparison, Mark Whitley last time by 34.661, Jamie Barkis 33.751. So nearly a full second of difference on those fresher tires. And of course, we're talking about a 20-lap advantage in favor of Barkis. But wow, just the speed mid-corner is insane.
Yeah, it really does make a huge difference here with that. And, I'm kind of curious now that Whitley is behind this lap truck of Barkis, and then he's also got, actually, sorry, let me hold that thought there. It looks like Jamie Mullins actually just came down pit road and just disconnected. Did not catch what happened there, but one of our championship playoff contenders just came down pit road. So not sure if maybe he had some kind of issue with maybe like a connection issue that he decided to come down pit road, or what may have happened there. But a driver that we had been kind of keeping an eye on here throughout the evening, and just going back and taking a look now, but I don't see where he had any kind of on-track issue or anything. Just came down pit road and ended up disconnecting. So not quite sure what happened with the 66 there.
Well, regardless, the 27 of Ellingson can now breathe a full sigh of relief as the closest competition below that cut line has now exited the race. Essentially, it's just one driver who can really change things for the 27 at this point, and it's not looking like that's going to happen. Craig Bontrager back in the 6th position, so it's a big difference right now for Jake Ellingson in the mindset for the remaining 22 laps of this race.
Yeah, it definitely does change that mindset. Just let you breathe a little bit easier, as you had mentioned. On track, closest battle for position right now is actually between our 8th and 9th place trucks, Stephen McDonald and Charles Abert. They've been running pretty close to one another, almost nose to tail here for the last few laps. See Abert up there trying to run that. Well, he was trying to run that higher lane, but McDonald taking that high lane away from him. Abert going to the bottom here to see if he can take that spot away. And Charles Abert, one of those drivers that he did come home with a win earlier this season. Actually kicked off the season with a win here with his season opener at Talladega. So nice to see him up there in the top 10 yet again, trying to take away that number 8 position from Stephen McDonald here.
Nearly got to the driver door. To back it out, both of them running the high line here. Looks like Abert's going to be able to utilize that high line a little bit better, keeping it about a truck length off of the wall. McDonald holding it really high and up close to the wall, nearly making contact, maybe even a little bit of a lift coming out of the 68. Abert looking very strong here in the long run of the race as well. Keeping a very competitive lap time just over the 35-second mark, as our leaders are right at that 35-second mark. Mark Whitley, 34.899. Levi McCarty, 35.095. So the 24 falling off now and ending up about 2.25 seconds behind our race leader at the moment.
Yeah, falling behind right now, but this battle for second has gotten quite a bit closer. You can see McCarty still up there trying to work that high groove, put it right up on the boards, but Jake Ellingson closing in now for that number 2 position. Last time around, it's like he was over a 1/10.5 faster than Levi McCarty as McCarty gets into the wall yet again. You talked about it in our pre-race, Logan, who was going to get up there, and I can't remember how you worded it. It wasn't flirt with the wall or dance with the wall. I can't remember how you worded it now, but
be friends with the wall.
Be friends with the wall. See, I was close. I just skipped a couple steps and skipped the flirting and dancing instead of being friends with it. But yeah, he's been friends with the wall a couple times here in this last few laps.
It's time for the 27 to go on attack for the number 2 position, taking it down to the bottom line. Side by side through 1 and 2. Cardi will get the drive off of the corner, but Ellingson showing he's got the speed now. And he is willing to challenge for that second spot on the podium. Same thing on the other side of the track. Ellingson back down to the bottom, Cardi up high. A little bit of a bobble mid-corner there for McCarty, but able to collect it back up. He doesn't quite get the run off. But it looks like he's actually going to let Jake Ellingson go by this time. The 27 has about 2 1/4 seconds up the road to challenge for the race lead with Mark Whitley. I don't know if the speed will be there, but we've got about 15 laps to find out.
Yeah, and you know, I like that move out of McCarty. He's been running that top groove. He's gotten into the wall a couple of times. You see that Jake Ellingson is really caught you from pretty far back and looks to be faster right now. So you're both in a position to advance to next week. The last thing you want to do is either make a mistake and take yourself out of it, or make a mistake and take somebody else out of it, where now suddenly they've got nothing to race for next week except making sure you don't get to win the championship. Not that you go out and wreck someone or anything like that, but you could definitely make somebody's life miserable just as a, hey, I haven't forgot about that. But a little bit further back here, battle between George Jewell and Craig Bontrager. First time we've really said George Jewell's name here this evening. He's kind of had a quiet evening, running right outside that top 5. Put him up into the number 6 position now, and just a really solid run for him here this evening.
There is nothing wrong with a quiet night for a driver, especially when you gain 5 positions on the night. Started P11 up to P6, and you know, about 5 seconds behind Tyler Justice, so unlikely to see the top 5, but you never know when one of these drivers might make a mistake. There's always that possibility of the yellow flag still coming out. We talked about it early. The more fuel that's burned, the lighter that the rear end of these trucks get. And it is very easy to slide out of the corner and end up looping the car. But right now, back up towards the front, Patrick Drabick, Tyler Justice battling for the top 4 position. As Drabick takes it to the bottom, Justice will get a good run off the top, side by side, down the back stretch into turn number 3. The 33 is ahead.
Yeah, Tyler Justice with that upper lane here. He should be able to carry the momentum off of turn number 4 and complete this pass. Looks like he is indeed going to be able to complete that and move himself up into that 4th position. still quite a ways back from making it onto the podium, but a really strong, solid run here this evening for the 33 truck.
Big move through the field from the 33, up 10 spots, 14th to 4th. No qualifying time for Tyler Justice, but able to put down very competitive lap times. One of the fastest laps of the night with a 33.536 compared to the fastest. Mark Whitley holds that title with a 33.388 on the night.
Looking a little further back, that battle for that 8th position starting to heat back up again, but there's also a new player in this. The 99 of Brandon Wallace, everybody's favorite driver out there on track, running in that 99 truck. The 99 not terrible right now. He is around Stephen McDonald for that number 9 position. And, you know, looking back, he was about 2 to 3 seconds behind McDonald and Abert just a few laps ago. And he's done a really nice job of getting up there, putting some solid lap times together. He does have Jamie Barkas there behind him on fresher tires rather, almost contact between them. And man, wouldn't that just be unfortunate if I put a broadcaster curse on Brandon Wallace out of all people?
It would only be on par for you, Daniel. That is one of your fantastic abilities to say. I guess fantastic wouldn't quite be the right word for that, but
that depends on how you
have
look at it.
an uncanny ability to make that happen.
Oh, I think that might actually be the most popular broadcaster curse I've ever put on anyone if it ended up working on Brandon Wallace. I would never hear the end of it from him, and he'd never hear the end of it from me. So that would be all in good fun. But yeah, it does certainly seem to work out that way quite a bit whenever I'm talking about drivers. So, but anyway, they almost made contact, and I'm like, I almost saw that flash before my eyes right there, Logan. I ain't gonna lie.
This battle being the closest one on the field is very hard to take your eyes off of it. This one almost it's gotten scary a couple times, and being this late in the race, if you're at the front of the field, you could either be really hoping to not see anything happen or really hoping to see something happen. So the cards are on the table. Whose hand are they going to play into here tonight?
If you're Craig Bontrager right now and you've got the broadcast up in the background, you're probably thinking, for the love of everything, let this curse on Brandon Wallace work right now. Because he's got to win. That's the only hope that he's got. But as we see out there on track, Brandon Wallace able to complete the pass on Stephen McDonald. Just a little bit of fun between teammates there out on track as well. Both Bandits Motorsports drivers running in the top 10. But believe Brandon is fast enough, should be able to pull away. We'll see if he can get up there to the 7 of Charles Abert and put some pressure on for the next position.
I think, too, a relatively new paint scheme for the 99 of Brandon Wallace, now sporting that Lions 3D design logo right on the hood. So it's a bit different from what we've seen all season long, but a fantastic looking race car.
Yeah, it is definitely a good looking scheme. You know, for as much of a hard time as we give Lucas, he does make some good looking paint schemes. And Lucas not here in the booth with us running production this week. I give him a quick shout out as well, welcoming his son into the world this past week on the 7th. So thinking about him, thinking about his son, and you know, got to give him a little bit of airtime here during the broadcast.
Well, as we near the end of this race, let's give another shout out to one of our amazing sponsors here at Goat Locker, InVets. InVets aids in transitioning to civilian life, focusing on job placement and finding the right community for veterans and their families to ensure success and happiness. They are a veteran nonprofit located in Indiana with a goal of bringing veterans to that state to live and work. They're the title sponsor of the Sunday Xfinity Series as well, which they'll be nearing the end of their season. Make sure you check out that race this Sunday night. Same time, same place, right here on V-Speed.
We definitely appreciate everything that InVets does. Also, InVets plays a pretty big role in deciding the sim rig recipients with those giveaways that Goat Locker does to veterans and first responders, helping to find those in the Indiana area that can take advantage of those sim rigs and get out here and race on track with us. So something really awesome that this league does, and really one of my favorite things about being a part of what they do here at Goat Locker is there's so many veterans, there's so many first responders, active duty that are a part of the league, and they do what they can to just bring in more of those people, bring in more folks that can be around other individuals that have maybe gone through some of the similar things with what they've seen, what they've done. So just really awesome community, and InVet's a big part of that.
Absolutely. We are now 3 to go here at Homestead, Miami. Mark Whitley looking to secure another victory. He's already locked into the championship 4, but double that up, and you've got a whole lot of momentum in your corner going into the championship race. So he's working out of turn number 3, back to the start-finish line. Brings us 2 to go here at Miami.
Indeed, 2 to go here at Miami, and what a season it has been so far for Mark Whitley. I mean, just been really strong from the beginning, won multiple races this season. Currently, as they run, I was trying to actually pull up exactly how many wins he has this season, but you know what? The statistician failed me on that. It's me, I'm the statistician. We'll talk about that, though, at the end of the race. He has got the first flag in sight that he is looking for. That is the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway for Mark Whitley, trying to lock up win number 7. I knew I would get there eventually. I just had to pull it up and take a quick look. But win number 7 in his sights, just a half a lap away. One more time through turns 3 and 4 here this evening, and just capping off yet another dominating performance here in the SAVE22 Truck Series. Mark Whitley is going to come home as your winner at Homestead.
He made the adjustment that was necessary from the first run to the second, able to hold off that 24. The hard-charging Levi McCarty, who fell back to 3rd place, as Jake Ellingson takes up your 2nd place spot on the podium. Mark Whitley was 74 laps led on the night. Started 3rd, up 2 spots to take home the win.
Yeah, and again, just a really dominant performance, leading almost 3/4 of the race. Levi McCarty, it certainly was not for lack of effort. Gave it everything he could, led some laps in this race as well, got up there, put a good fight with Mark Whitley. But in the end, it is the 77 with yet another victory on the season. So you can see him there burning it down on the front straightaway, a sight that we've grown quite accustomed to here throughout the course of this season. But while he's finishing up his celebrations, let's take a quick commercial break. Let you hear from some of our great league sponsors, and we will be right back with full race results and a word from our top three finishers right after this.
thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway, where we just finished up the 100-lap race and set the championship for next week at Phoenix. Let's go ahead and give you your full race results so you can see where your favorite driver finished this evening. Mark Whitley coming home with the win. He is into the championship four with those two wins here in the round of 8. Jake Ellingson and Levi McCarty, they also locked their way into the championship four, finishing in second and third, respectively. Tyler Justice from 14th on the grid. He's up to the number 4 finishing position. Biggest mover of the night here. Patrick Drabick comes home in the 5th position. He's also going to be racing for a championship next week as the 4th driver in. George Jewell, he comes home in 6th. Craig Bontrager comes home in 7th. Charles Abert finishes in the 8th position. Brandon Wallace in 9th. Stephen McDonald is going to round out your top 10.
And for the lap cars here tonight, in the 11th spot, the 71 of Daniel Parks, 1 lap down, followed up by the 15 of Jamie Barkas, able to get back around the field on those fresher tires, but unable to do it twice. The 15 finishes in 12th. The 37 of Michael Seymour also went for an alternate strategy, taking a late set of tires, finishes here in 13th with Jamie Mullins, our pole setter. Unfortunate night with an early exit on lap 75. Finishes out in 14th. And of course, the 64 of Matt Knights made it to the qualifying session, did not make it to the race. We'll round out our 15-car field at Homestead.
Well, let's go ahead and get a word with our top 3 finishers, starting with the race winner, Mark Whitley. Mark, this is Daniel and Logan and Tim up in the V-Speed booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, congrats again on the win here this evening. You're 7th on the season. You didn't need to go out there and win tonight to lock your way in, but you did it anyway. Just talk a little bit about your race this evening.
Yeah, Homestead's always been a good track for me. I really like to run here. I know there was a big update this week with the changes of this truck, so it was a little bit different getting back used to it. It feels like it's a little bit more like how it used to drive before the previous update. So started third, got to the lead, battling Levi. I feel like I used the right front up a little bit too much, and he was able to pass us back. And I was just kind of studying his line a little bit, and then coming on pit road, I just tried to get all I could get and got up to his rear bumper. And I don't know if me just being that close, closing up the gap, maybe made him focus on trying to get in his box too hard or something, and he slid through it, and I was able to get the lead back. And I just started running the line I saw him running, slash a little bit different than I could tell would help the right rear a little bit, and it seemed to help. And I think eventually he just burned his stuff off, and we were able to pull away. And glad that glad that Jake was a little bit farther back, because like he had really good long run speed, but he was too far back really to make it charge at the end, thankfully.
Well, you pretty well answered just about every question that I had lined up in my head with that one statement. So I'm going to default here. And let's talk about the mentality. You've got a lot of momentum in your corner going into the championship race, obviously picking up both of the wins to not only secure yourself, but secure yourself in a dominating fashion into the championship four. How does that feel knowing that you've got a full swing of momentum ahead of the rest of your competition going into Phoenix?
Momentum's great. It's glad I'd rather have it than not, but with it being a single championship race, one mistake, one error, it doesn't even have to be my error can in the whole season for us. One mistake. So just gotta focus up and just put our head down and hopefully just go out there and do the same thing like we did tonight, if not better. So it's just one of those things. It's not my favorite format having a single race championship, but it's the same for everybody. So just keep your head down and hopefully you can stay out of trouble.
Well, congrats again on the win, Mark. Really dominating fashion here this evening. We'll see you at Phoenix next week. But before we let you go, who you want to thank for the win this evening?
Yeah. First and foremost, shout out to all the league sponsors here. Without them, we wouldn't be here as a league. SAVE22, Lincoln Tech, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, Glove Station, all the guys that like I said, help this league be what it is. All their great mission. Wouldn't be here without them. I'm glad to be a part of this league. All my personal sponsors, Harpoon Design. If you need a really cool paint scheme, he's got you. He's got you covered. If you're trying to, or if you just want to buy something for a paint scheme for your iRacing friend, he does that too. So check him out at harpoondesign.com. And then on the other flip side of that, Jawa.gg, if you're looking for an upgrade or a new rig, they got you covered. The number one gaming marketplace out there. So if you're looking for an upgrade or a gift for one of your buddies, check them out too. And then all the guys, everybody that tunes in these broadcasts, the races y'all do, y'all for putting on it. Everybody that tunes in over there in the Harpoon checks. We got Daryl, Vector, all of them. I appreciate them tuning into these races. All the fans. It's a little bit, we're not the same as real life racing, but we got a little bit of it makes the realism go up a little bit when we get all these guys out here watching us.
Well, congrats again on the win, Mark. And we will see you next week, championship racing in Phoenix.
Sounds good, guys. Take it easy.
That's our race winner, Mark Whitley. We'll go ahead and pull up the second place finisher now and get a word with Jake Ellingson. This is Daniel Logan and Tim up in the V Speed booth. You got us?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Well, it's going good, man. Congrats on the second place. Also, probably more importantly than that, congrats on the championship four appearance. So, you came into this race, you were the cutoff line. You got a
We'll
little bit more
we'll
of a
have to
cushion.
see what we.
Uh-oh, we're having the Jake Ellingson connection issues like we had during the cup race Wednesday night. You got us, Jake?
Yeah, I thought I had this figured out.
All right, now we got you
I just
back.
want to thank everybody. It was a good run. I was so happy for it, and just want to thank Lincoln Tech for putting their name on this number 27, and all the sponsors, Save 22, Cruising Classics, Jam Printing and Promotions, Invets, everybody else makes this happen. You guys at V Speed, and I just can't thank my beautiful wife and daughters enough for allowing me to have fun and fun with.
Well, you know what, Jake? We got the most important parts in there. You thank the sponsor, you thank your wife and your daughters. I know that was the part that he was missing out on Wednesday night. So I kind of had to laugh a little bit there to myself, Logan, when he started going into just thank the sponsors because I was having a replay. I was having a replay of Wednesday night. But that's Jake Ellingson, second place. He's in the championship four. That's the important part. Let's go ahead and get a word with our third place finisher here, Levi McCarty. Levi, this is Daniel Logan and Tim in the V Speed booth. You got us?
Yes, I do.
Well, you put a lot of pressure on Mark Whitley there. You led some laps early. We saw you really committed to that high lane, pretty much the only person that got up there and ran it for any length of time. Just talk a little bit about that battle with Mark Whitley and what you were trying to do and how you were able to make that top groove work the way you did.
Just you kind of had to pick and choose your spots when you ran it tonight. It felt like the bottom line was dominant for most of the race. You could make really good speed on it. So yeah, just kind of picking and choosing when you went up and made that run. I made it work a couple different times and was able to get by him in the middle of the first run and really lock in and run the line I wanted to, and then slid through my pit box pit and just trying to be extra careful, not speeding. You know, when you change something up, of how to be extra careful, usually make another mistake. That just how it is sometimes. But yeah, just happy to get to Phoenix. Number one goal throughout the whole season is to get back and have a chance to unleash everything you got at trying to win one of those belts.
Well, you certainly put on a show today, and obviously 23 laps led. So you had your experience at the front, and just that slight slide through the pit box, obviously setting you back behind Mark Whitley. And was it the early challenge that maybe ate up that front right tire a little bit too soon? Because you had a whole lot of long run pace in the first stint, but it just didn't quite seem to last there in the second stint.
I don't really have an answer for you, honestly. I don't know what I did differently. I was stewing on sliding through my pit box there for a solid 15, 20 laps. So, you know, maybe maybe that was part of it, but I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I wish I wish I did. I wish I could have pointed to what I did wrong on the second run, but I had no clue.
Well, either way, still a really solid run for you. Showed a lot of pace, and more importantly, got yourself locked into that championship for next week. Before we let you go, Levi, who do you want to thank? Any sponsors or shout outs?
Fairfield Auto Group, Fairfield Motorsports, Lincoln Tech, SAVE22, iRacing, MK Fire Designs, Sim Motion, and just a shout out to Goat Talk. Just appreciate everything Eddie does with putting that on. I listened to it before the race today, and it's really an awesome listen. So I encourage anybody to check that out if they haven't already. And man, I'm excited for Phoenix. It would mean a lot to bring home one of those belts. There's a lot of people that don't think I'm capable of doing it. So we're gonna practice up and give it all we got.
Well, best of luck to you next week, and we will see you championship racing at Phoenix.
Appreciate it, guys.
Well, that is going to do it this evening for our post race interviews and coverage here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We saw a lot of great battles on track, even with the smaller field. Still plenty of action to cover here throughout the evening. Logan, what's your thoughts on this race? Any final thoughts before we sign off for the evening?
Homestead provided us a very quiet night, obviously with no cautions in the race. That really puts it into the hands of the drivers and just how well you can navigate through a track and through traffic, make those passes that you had to make. We only had the 5 lead changes here tonight, but it was a constant battle until the very end for that lead. So just a great show coming out of Levi McCarty and Mark Whitley. Jake Ellingston put on one hell of a run to get back up to the podium spot and nearly got there to challenge for the lead. Just a little bit short, a little bit too late on that momentum swing for the 2017. But man, I tell you what, I am excited for Phoenix next week. We have 4 top-tier drivers here on these Friday nights battling it out for that championship belt. Just like Levi McCarty said, it is going to be just an awesome race. Phoenix is, we thought that Homestead would put on a good show. Just wait until we're in the desert.
Absolutely. Phoenix always does put on a good show. We even saw it Wednesday night during the Next Gen Series to set the championship for over there in that Cruising Classics Next Gen Series. So looking forward to that one as we wind down what has been an amazing season over here at Goat Locker in this SAVE22.vet Truck Series. But folks, that is going to do it for our coverage here this evening. So for Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkis, and everyone at Goat Locker Racing, for everybody at V-Speed, including Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, our producer Tim Jones, the cameras courtesy of Dougie Beard, and my colleague up here in the booth, Logan Threlkeld. My name is Daniel Cunningham, saying thank you all for tuning in this evening, and we will see you next week where we are going to crown a champion out in the desert at Phoenix.